Hey everyone, so first I want to apologize for having to take down this video and re-upload it. There was a little bit of a conflict that I had to settle out, but I think we are all good now, so I thought it was important. I thought it was important to re-upload this video. If you go on any political talk show, you'll see that there are guests on the show that don't necessarily agree with the host. And when I talk to Archie, there's definitely a lot of things that we don't agree on. But I thought it was important to re-upload this video because as people, we can't make any progress if we just talk to people that we agree with all the time. We can't have fun as well if we're just talking to people that we agree with all the time. And Archie, as being somebody who's been in the watch YouTube community for pretty much longer than anybody, I thought it was important to talk to him. And you might not agree with Archie. I mean, I don't agree with him on everything, but I think there's no doubt this guy is entertaining. There's no doubt that he loves watches and he knows watches very well, especially luxury timepieces. And I think if you watch this interview, you might see a different side of Archie that you have never seen before. So for those of you that know that this probably isn't going to be for you, that's fine. For those of you that are interested in watching this interview though, I have linked all the different time codes in the description down below if you want to jump around and check it out. It's no doubt entertaining to say the least, so I hope you guys enjoy it, the interview with ARCHIELUXURY.
His voice is heard around the world. His name, synonymous with the finer things. His story, a mystery, until now. In his first sit-down interview, ARCHIELUXURY reveals all. His controversial opinions, his lavish love life, and the future of the ARCHIELUXURY empire. So here, at the Teddy Baldassarre YouTube channel, we welcome ARCHIELUXURY.
Hey, thank you so much, fuckers. Great to be here.
I'm gonna laugh this entire interview. So I have to start with this, Archie. So you just came back from Far East, correct? You're in
Hong Kong. I came back from Hong Kong.
So now you're back. I'm interested to know, what is the day in the life of Archie really like?
Well, I've actually been very sick. I had a terrible flu. I had a terrible flu, which I picked up. And I've just been recovering. But hey, day in the life of ARCHIELUXURY. Well, you know, it's all about watches. So basically, look, I wake up, I talk to a few fans, then I take the kids to school, then I try and make a few vids. I got some fucking paid reviews that are backed up. I'm about a month and a half behind. I got to get my mojo back. I keep getting interrupted with phone calls and fans and just stuff. And, you know, I got to... So then lunchtime comes around and I go to my favorite Vietnamese restaurant, come back, and I probably, you know, I should make more videos, but I talk to people, and then I got to pick the kids up. Then I try and get a few more videos done. I like to do a lot of research. I look at other channels and other interesting stuff on YouTube. Yeah, that's how it goes there. So I've actually found your channel. I found your channel before you approached me. I have actually seen your channel.
What'd you think, Archie?
Yeah, I think it's cool. It's great. It's great. Everyone's got to give it a shot. Throw the hat in the ring. You got a different market than what I'm going for, but hey, that's fine. It's all fantastic, and yeah, you got some great stuff happening.
Well, I appreciate it, Archie. I was expecting to get roasted, so I appreciate that. So you mentioned kids.
Yes.
You have kids?
Yeah, I got four kids.
What?
Yeah, I got four. I had two from my first marriage and two from my third marriage.
How old are they?
So, well, the eldest two are 25 and 22. They don't live with me, thank God. And the other two are 11 and 12. So, yeah, they stay with me sometimes.
So, okay, Archie, you mentioned watches. So,
yes,
you talk a lot about watches on your channel. I'd be interested to know.
Yes,
you've bought and sold a lot of watches. I see your collection changing all the time. What is the one watch you bought that you regret the most?
Regret buying or regret selling?
Regret buying. Actually,
fuck.
Both.
Okay. I remember sometimes, you know, I was buying and selling watches years ago, and the worst watch deal I ever did, fuck, was it terrible. It was a Datejust, a 1601, which had badly repainted. And I bought this watch because I was just desperate. There wasn't many watches around. This was in the late 90s. And it had a bracelet which had more stretch in it than Grandma's undies. Okay, this was a really fucked Datejust. I paid about $1,800 for it. And man, I just lost money. I sold it to a guy in America who had a big fight with me about the condition. He sent it back. The only way I could get any sense of my money back was I broke it up. So I pulled the bracelet off, sold the bracelet off to some poor bastard in Canada. Fuck, I felt bad about that. But it had to be done. He was Canadian. Fair game, fair game. And then I sold the head. And that watch was a fucking... I lost... I mean, it's not a lot of money in today's terms, but I probably lost about $700, $800 on it after servicing costs and all that sort of stuff. There have been so many horror stories. I had an AP. I had a few APs. I've always seemed to have trouble with APs. They always stop working and they cost a fucking fortune. APs are just trouble. I've had so many horror stories. I've had successes. Believe you me, I've had some watches that have been amazing. What watch do I regret selling? Well, that's a very simple, very, very simple question. Very simple answer. My first decent, when I turned 18, I got myself an American Express green card. And I was so naive, I didn't even realize you had to pay the bastard off every month. I thought you could like there was like a credit card, but you had, anyhow, I said to a guy who was in the jewelry business, get me a Rolex. He got me a 1016 Explorer 1 L serial number, brand new. And I remember I put it on Amex and he wanted a little bit more for putting it on Amex. It was $15.75 Australian. And I sold it. I had that watch. So that was in 1990 I got it. And then the internet, because I was always in IT, so I sort of knew about the internet and that. Then I found out it was valuable and I very foolishly sold it in the late 90s. I think 1989 I sold it. And it ended up getting stolen, but I got the money back from insurance. But I kind of very sad I let it go because I had it for so long. I had it for many milestones in my life and that there. And I regret selling it, not because of the money, but because of that was my first watch. I really that was my first Rolex, first super luxury watch, first, one that really hurt. And it's kind of sad it's gone.
That's a beautiful watch. What did you sell it for? I have to ask.
Look, actually, I sold it to a guy on Time Zone. Okay, Mark the Hammer. That's who I sold it to. He was a wheeler dealer on Time Zone. I sold it for about 7.5 Aussie. Okay, and I bought a President, a day date. I bought an 18038, which I wasn't quite happy with because it wasn't perfect. I kept it for about 6 months, and then I bought a mint 18238 diamond dial. So that money became that, if you know what I mean. And then I ran into business trouble and sold it and didn't have my watch anymore.
So Archie, I think there's a couple of things we probably disagree on, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. I think we both love watches,
sure.
and I think that's great. That's kind of why I wanted to have you on the channel. And you mentioned a couple things. So one was the credit cards, and then the other was it hurts. Like when you bought the watch, it hurts. So those are two things I hear you talk about all the time. You've mentioned that to buy a watch, if it doesn't financially hurt you, it's not worth buying. And then I've seen you do videos on your channel about how you can get, huge limits on credit cards. Is that something you actually want to promote? Do you actually believe that, and like all the words that you say when you say that on your channel all the time?
Look, I've actually come full circle. Okay, at one stage I had consumer finance credit it was in the $80,000 range. Okay, so that was, which basically went into luxury goods. Okay. Now, when I say it's got to hurt, it's like anything. If you go to a casino or you go to a racetrack, if you put $1 bet on, what's going to happen? I win $10. It doesn't feel. A gambler, unless they're risking their week's wages, it doesn't feel like gambling. You know what I mean? It's gotta hurt. Now, to Donald Trump, of course, the number of zeros on the end may be different. For me, $100 or $1,000 is a lot of money, whereas for the Trumpster, that's insignificant. But I honestly do believe, decent watches, you've got to spend, new retail has got to be $3,000 or $4,000. You really can't buy a $500 watch and have fun with it.
Why not? So there's a lot of people out there that can't afford like a $3,000 watch. I get what you're saying. I mean, I have one on my wrist right now. I get the differences, but for those people just starting out, do you think it's a lot to demand of them to say, throw $4,000? I've never worn a watch before in my life. Do you think the mistakes helps you build a better appreciation for when you are able to buy that watch?
Well, I would say, look, realistically, right, the thing is this, you buy a lot of these lower end watches, you can really lose your shirt if you're not careful. You're buying retail from a store. I tell you honestly, okay, the whole thing about me is I am a value shopper. You've got to understand this. I am a huge environmentalist. I don't know if you know this, right? The whole reason I promote luxury goods and luxury items is because you buy once and you do it right. Like, you think about it. One wristwatch, you buy a Rolex or whatever you want to buy. It's a quality piece. It's not a throwaway thing. It's something that you look after, you service, you repair if something goes wrong. It's a beautiful thing. So that's really going to save resources in the long run. So this is the whole thing. The whole thing about luxury and that there is not so much that it's a snooty thing. It's very much an environmental cause. I'm an environmentalist, and I'm saying instead of buying cheap, crappy things which you buy many, many times over and over, you buy one good thing that lasts a long, long time. And that can be for a fountain pen or a biro or a wallet, a man's wallet, or any item you want to name. Buy quality and it'll last. You tend to look after it more because it was expensive. It's quality, it's a beautiful thing. This is what I'm trying to promote. It's not so much the snobbery, it's the quality. Do you get what I'm saying?
I actually agree with that. Sometimes I think that gets lost in a lot of your videos, and I actually think at the core that's the right message to be sending out when it comes to watches. I think the only thing I'm always careful of is for someone that's just coming into the hobby, like they are thinking about buying a watch, it could be really intimidating to want to really dive in and think about value if the first thing that they hear is like, oh, I have to spend $1,000.
Look, the problem is this. The problem with the watch industry is this. I think if you're coming into the hobby from fresh, there's nothing wrong with, say, buying some sort of Seiko. Okay, we've all done it. We've all done the Seiko. I started off with the Seiko 5. Okay? This was when I was a kid in primary school. My dad gave me this Seiko 5. And I think you have a Seiko or whatever. Seiko's a really good brand itself there because it's easy to get into. There's a vintage market. It's a lot of cool things with it. But when it comes to slightly more expensive, I think you're better off to hold out for something like a Speedmaster or a Tudor Black Bay. I think you're better off to hold out for that, because if you buy these lesser things, that not luxury watches, but that almost luxury, you're really getting something that is worthless on the secondary market. It's kind of garbage. And the biggest thing I find sad is that so many fake people there, they promote these lesser brands. And the saddest thing is, I hate to see new people in the hobby who buy a $1,000 wristwatch, and then they discover it's worthless. Nobody wants it. It's worth $300 to a dealer. I think that's really sad that somebody enters the hobby. I think that is the bigger crime, entering the hobby and having something that has lost so much value is worth nothing. That's the biggest crime. It's not me saying, hey, and what is my crime really? So I'm saying, well, decent watch. I kind of say the decent watch would be like a Tudor Black Bay or a Omega Speedmaster, the manual wind. What are they going to cost? A brand new one would cost about $3.5 Joma Shop. On the used market, $2.5. Is that a lot for a decent watch? And I mean, we live in the Western world. Let's be completely frank here. Okay, we live in the Western world. $2,000 is not impossible for anyone in the Western world. See, we've already won the lotto of life. We were born in the Western world. I mean, this is how it is. It's like being in a big roulette wheel with Jesus there. Spin number 1, you're born in the Western world, so we've won. Spin number 2, let's be honest. Let's forget this feminist bullshit. It's better to be male than female, okay? It just is. It's just a better gig, okay? It's better gig, I'm sorry, okay? Spin number 2, you're born male. Spin number 3, if you're really fucking lucky, you're born white. Spin number 4, if you're really, really, really lucky, you're born Jewish with rich parents. I mean, let's be completely frank. This is how it is. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being born in the third world, black, female, to poor parents. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's so many obstacles you've got to overcome. So, I mean, $3,000 if we're born in the Western world that's the price of a used car. Not even a good used car. So I don't buy it that it's too intimidating. I think there are sacrifices you can make to make this watch happen for you. And all you need is one. I quite respect people who just have one watch.
If you could have one watch collection, what would it be?
Oh, that's simple. In this modern age, if I just had one watch, there are many pieces that I would say would be acceptable, but I reckon a 39mm Explorer 1 would be absolutely perfect. Waterproof, it's automatic, it's a dress watch, but it's a sports watch. It's a Rolex, it defies fashion, it's an icon, it's just so cool.
I agree, it was the first one that came to my mind as well.
And I would say, the other watch you would say number 2 would be a Speedmaster, but the Speedmaster is not automatic. The Speedmaster, so newbies in the hobby don't get it. They don't understand. Oh, you got to wind it up. They don't get this shit. They don't understand. Oh, you mean it's not waterproof? I spent all that money and I can't swim with it? No, you fucking moron, you can't swim with it. See, these morons, when they buy a 5170 Patek manual wind chronograph Patek, they've worked out, oh, this is actually a cool watch. The fact that it's manual wind is cool. You don't need to explain that to these rookie fools.
So, Archie, I have 10 brands here.
Yes.
So I'm gonna say the brand's name, and I want the first thing that comes to your mind when I say this brand's name. Just spit it out. So first up, First up, Rolex.
The king of watches. King. That's the Mercedes-Benz of watches. Mass-produced, but amazing. Seiko. Reasonable. These are not garbage as such. There's different varieties. I think okay. They're an okay watch. Seikos are okay.
Patek Philippe.
Patek Philippe, that's the connoisseur's watch. That's the Rolex may be the Mercedes-Benz. Patek Philippe is the Rolls-Royce. A little bit more handcrafting in that there. Just absolutely I love Patek Philippe.
Squale.
Shit!
Elaborate. Why?
Look, the brand is a nothing brand. Absolute garbage. I mean, no real backbone there. It's a brand which really has a very sketchy history at best. It's just very cheap, nasty. There's so many better things you could get for what they're asking for their products. I think they are deceptive and very dishonest in trying to enter the luxury market with a substandard product. Very dishonest.
Was that one of the watches that you were kind of alluding to when you mentioned $1,000, you know, deceiving new buyers?
Well, there's so many brands that do that, but I mean, seriously, I don't like new people to buy things and realize, hey, this was a rip-off. I think that's really bad. It's just really poor. There's a number of brands which do that, but that certainly is one of the brands I think is very dishonest, and it's very. I feel sorry for people who buy that because I don't want newbies to come into the hobby and just be ripped a new one so quickly.
I fell for it. I bought one. I sold it.
Yeah. It's just sad. It's just sad because it's a nothing brand. It's just absolute garbage brand, really. There's nothing good about it.
I think that was kind of my point as well, is I think making that mistake served me well, because I bought that watch, I mean, because I heard other people talking about it. I didn't buy that watch for me. And I think that is kind of the fundamental thing that I was kind of pointing at, is to be able to spend $4,000 on something, you want to make sure you've went through your homework, you know this is for you. And finding the right watch for you, nothing beats that. Nothing beats that, in my opinion. So yes. I think that's just my thought process around it. All right, another brand.
Sure.
Another brand for you. Tudor.
I think fantastic brand. I love the brand. I mean, it's affordable. A lot of in-house work there. I think the Black Bay range is just amazing. Tudor, 20 years ago, they had some fucking ugly dogs. Fucking ugly dogs. They were just fucking dogs. Like the Hydronaut and they had their Datejust equivalents with their stupid bracelets. They were fucking horrors. Tudor has really got their act together. You think of it this way. Tudor is kind of Rolex's younger, hipper brother. He gets away with things that Rolex could never do. Rolex could never have a Submariner with no crown guards again. That's just so cool. It's a bigger size. I think Tudor is a absolutely. I love Tudor. I think the Black Bay. I've got a Black Bay myself with the in-house movement. I think that's amazing bang per buck because it's using a Rolex movement. That's what a Tudor movement is. It's a fucking Rolex movement, really. I think very good value. Very good value.
I'm glad you said that.
And a great watch. I think you could have a Tudor and wear it with anyone else. I mean, Tudor's a great brand. Absolute great brand, and they've got some amazing things, and they've got a tie-in with Breitling now, you know, with swapping some technologies, and I think Tudor itself is, I think it's just amazing way to start a collection or round out a collection, because let's face it, you can't just keep buying Rolexes. Rolexes are fucking dear. I mean, $10,000 is what you're spending for decent GMTs, subs. It's hard. You can buy one. An average person can buy one if they really try. But to have more than that is very, very hard. So I think Tudor's a great. I love the Tudor brand. Absolutely love it.
What about Omega?
Omega. Look, I got to be honest with you. Disappointment. The one word for Omega is disappointment. I cannot believe how they fucked Baselworld 2018. If Baselworld went to Rolex for the Pepsi, and Omega completely fucked it. I don't know what's going on at Swatch Group. They are fucking out of their mind because they're dumping product through the grey channel. Okay? And this is happening. You look at secondhand prices, they are fucking releasing far too many limited editions, far too many fucking special things. I think Omega should be damn well ashamed of themselves. They got to stick to what they do. You know what they should do if they really want to release something amazing? bring out a limited edition Speedmaster with a 3-2-1 movement in it. That would be fucking amazing. Not another fucking rehab. I mean, what the fuck is the Omega 57? How is that so different to the broad arrow they released a few years ago? I think if you want a look of a 57, you buy a fucking broad arrow. That's what I'd be buying. I reckon that's bang per buck on the used market. Steel bezel, broad arrow hands. It's a great piece. But Omega has fucked things so much. They tried to be Rolex for so long. They had these snooty boutiques. And all I can say is, I hope they fucking wake up, because the way they're running the company is a fucking disgrace. I had such high hopes for Omega. It's very, very, very sad. It's absolute. I could never have predicted this. It's very, 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 very sad.
2 follow-up questions to that. You don't still have your man on the moon, do you?
Sure.
Do you have your man on the moon still?
I do. I do still have my man on the moon. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
And second question was, what do you think of gray markets? You brought them up. Gray market watches.
Great. Gray market watches. Gray markets are fantastic. What's wrong with gray market? Gray market. Well, I mean, let's be honest there. Anyone who sells second-hand watches, they're a gray market dealer. It's anyone who sells watches who isn't authorized by the brand. That's a grey market dealer. Is anything wrong? We're not talking black market. Black market is stolen or counterfeit. We're talking grey market. So these are genuine pieces. They may have been released in, say, a different market and brought into another market. It's called arbitrage. It's how commerce works. It's what the opposite of communism is. And I love grey market. I think grey market is fucking amazing. You got to do your homework, certain models, you got to know your stuff. I love grey market dealers. I actually prefer grey market to the authorized ADs. I hate a lot of ADs. They're pretentious fuckers. Grey market is a great way. I support it fully.
Awesome. All right, this is probably going to rip my heart out here. What do you think of Nomos?
Nomos, look, okay, jokes aside, I think Nomos design excellence. I think they're an up-and-coming brand, to be honest with you. I like their very, very innovative design. Very, very... it's probably, got to be honest with you, my generation is probably... I can be cynical because I'm older. But if I was a 20-something, I think it's a perfect brand to explore. I think there's some good product there. Great future. I'd like to see how they develop things. I've said a lot of negative things because it's like I'm X generation. I can't approve of anything that the Y generation likes. It's just how it is, I'm afraid. Okay, it's the scorpion and the frog. Okay, I just can't say anything good about something that appeals to a different generation. But I think Nomos has got some excellent design there. Excellent price point. I wouldn't say I would buy all Nomoses. I think if someone was building a collection, one of them in their collection would be okay. For me, I'm not hip enough. I'm not cool enough. But some people can pull it off.
Well, I have 2, and I love them. So I'm glad you didn't rip them apart, because I think they actually do produce a lot of great value. I think they are in that range. I actually have seen their prices go up a considerable amount in like the last 5-10 years, though, from where they were. So I think they're starting to get into that range of the $3,000-$4,000 for a lot of their pieces. So the value prop, I mean, you can argue some of it in-house, but I don't know what you think.
Yeah, no, I think there's a great future there. They've got some interesting designs. And it's kind of cool. I think they're kind of cool. I'm just not hip enough.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
hey, you're pretty hip to me, Archie. All right, I got 2 more brands for you. Let's do 2 more brands. One would be one Grand. How about Grand Seiko? You did a whole 180. You did a 180 for this brand, didn't you?
Grand Seiko. I got to tell you honestly, Grand Seiko is it's a Weiss's Weiss watch. Okay. And the biggest problem with Grand Seiko is you can't fucking understand the numbering system on it. I mean, this is so fucking... They don't make it simple. They use nicknames which they never use in their catalogs. You know, they don't... They fucking... like, they're just fucking hard. Grand Seiko's biggest problem is Grand Seiko. Amazing. You look at the quality. I had someone who had a Grand Seiko quartz. Okay, not my favorite genre, but... You've got to hand it to her. I looked at this thing. The bracelet was fucking well done. The case was well done. It's a quality piece. You can look at it and say, is this shit or is this not shit? And you'd have to say, this is a fucking quality thing. Grand Seiko's biggest problem is Grand Seiko, because no one can understand the numbering system unless you're a real purist. I would like to get a Grand Seiko in the distant future. Okay, I don't think you can get a Grand Seiko as a first watch or a second watch. I think you have to have a few watches before you get a Grand Seiko. But I love the whole concept. I think they are amazing. The quality is top. My favorite Grand Seiko, if you said to me, which one do I really love? I love the fucking Peacock. You know, the Peacock GMT. I think that's but they're fucking expensive. They're so fucking dear.
Do you think the Seiko, just the affiliation with Seiko, do you think that hurts the brand when you're thinking about, is there some kind of just mental block for some people? Like they can't get over because they just see the name Seiko and they think entry level, they think back to that Seiko 5 that they had on the wrist when they're first starting. Do you think it hurts the brand and just, it's...
Look, I think it works both ways. I love to have it because it pisses the Swiss off. Okay. I love a lot of things. I don't know. I've been to Japan a number of times, and once you've been to Japan, you think, fuck, these people are very, very, very clever, amazing people. I had a Japanese wife as well, and I think the thing about the Grand Seiko is it's a brand you just don't just go into. You've got to do your homework. And then you come to it later on as an appreciation for what it is. It's not a show-off brand. It's like a Hyundai Genesis, okay? You know, it is an amazing thing. It is good value compared, but I would actually like to get one. I really would love to get a Grand Seiko. I love the Peacock, as I said, but they're fucking dear. I love the Snowflake. That's an amazing story. Great story there. I love the High Beat. There's so many Grand Seikos I really do like. I'd like to get one in the future.
All right, I was gonna name some like low tier brands, but I'd be more interested to know like, what you think about like these Kickstarter, these cheap Chinese made watches, and what do you think it has on the effect of like newcomers and just the overall watch industry? I'd love to hear your kind of thoughts on that.
Look, I'm very cynical. You know, anything made in China and that there, I kind of, I get swamped with people wanting me to promote this sort of garbage all the time. And I think realistically, I don't think it, I think a lot of these no-name brands and that, I get very cynical. I'm very cynical of Brumont, okay? That's a brand which I think it's too rich, spoiled kids who fucking decided to make watches, and I'm not a huge fan of that concept. I think anything new, I personally would put money into. I've always said put money into icons, buy the iconic models. That way, that's what people want. I recently bought I bought a Tag Heuer. It's a Monaco, okay? So I wanted the caliber 11. I didn't want the caliber 12. I wanted the caliber 11. Okay, it's using a Celita movement, okay, granted, but it's unique. This was one of the first automatic chronographs of the time. This is a reissue, of course. It's not I'd love an original, but they're very fragile and they're very expensive. But I got to tell you, there's something about, it's an icon. Whether you like it or not, it's just such a cool 2-reg chrono. It's a beautiful thing. And I think in many ways there, it's kind of, buy the icons. You can't go wrong. That's always a good idea. Buy the iconic watches. Buy the Omega Speedmaster. Buy the Rolex Sub. You got to buy the icons because they'll always be wanted. That's more chance of them being wanted in the future, as opposed to fashion things which come and go. Styles come and go.
So Archie, you're a lover of luxury. You've spent a lot of money on your watches. How do you, are you all full-time YouTube, and do you have other ways to make money? Like, what are you doing right now currently to like afford all these watches?
I am full-time on YouTube. I am a full-time YouTuber. And at the moment, I've got 10. I've actually changed packs. About 18 months ago, I had 4. And then I had an epiphany where I realized watches make me happy, and I wanted to buy watches. And I set a few rules. One of the rules was 1 brand per watch. So I only have 1 Tudor, 1 IWC, 1 Omega, 1 Rolex. And that's kind of kept me on the straight and narrow, because otherwise I'd go insane. So 1 per brand. You've really got to think about which model do you like. So, yes, I am full-time on YouTube. That is correct, full-time. Obviously, I sell blood, plasma, and some experimental medical work I do as well. I'm working on a hair loss cure for a pharmaceutical company.
Can you disclose any of that? I'm actually interested. I think the first person that...
You just get paid to test chemicals. I mean, they give you a dosage. You don't know if it's the placebo or not. So 3 lines of revenue right now. We got YouTube, we got blood plasma, we have testing experiments for baldness. Yeah, I've got Patreon supporters as well, and I've also got I do paid reviews, which I'm a little bit behind at the moment, but I do paid reviews for people. I live fairly modestly. I drive a Honda Civic.
I drive an Accord.
I couldn't afford the Accord. Okay. I got a Honda Civic. Look, cars don't go up. Watches can retain your value there. So I got 10 watches at the moment, 10 men's watches. Plus I've got a few ladies in circulation because I'm between girls at the moment. So if I'm going out with a girl, I say, look, could you please put this on for me? And then when the date finishes, of course, you please give it back.
You mentioned girl transition. I mean, I don't want to impose on you, but
Sure.
I mean, what's the love life of ARCHIELUXURY like?
Oh, well, the love life. Well, I do a little bit of escort work as well. Okay, so when I was in Hong Kong, I had a small gig. If you look at my Ritz-Carlton video, you can see that. Yeah. It's okay. A bit of play for play. Pay for play is always good. And
maybe elaborate. Maybe pay for play.
You need to have some relief. You need some relief. We're men. We need relief occasionally, don't you? So I don't mind. Look, I think realistically, at this stage now in the game, I don't think marriage is really working for me. 3 marriages, and about half a dozen, about 30 affairs. And it just hasn't worked. Eventually, you got to say to yourself, "Hey, maybe it's not them. Maybe it's me." Okay.
What is it about you? What is it about you think is like just not compatible?
I don't know, but it's just you got to work it out at the end of the day. Something's not working.
So I'd be interested. What do people think of your YouTube channel? Like people either you work with or you worked with,
This is very, very interesting indeed. There, many years ago, my stepmom said to me, "Please, whatever you do, don't mention your last name in the videos." She said, it's just embarrassing. It's a shame. So that was then when I made the byline, Paul Pluter is ARCHIELUXURY. Every video has got my surname in it. When someone says you can't do it, geez, that's just a red flag. I found that with the dating, on the dating scene, I found I have a lot more success with women. Normally when you tell them, hey, I'm a YouTube celebrity, I got 50 million views, they get very excited. Yeah, that's fantastic. Fans want to meet you. Then they start doing a bit of homework about some of your content. So I actually prefer to date women now who don't speak English at all. That really helps me in my dating life. I find if they can understand what I'm saying, it kind of kills the relationship. So I prefer now to date women who don't speak English. How has it helped me? Well, I've lost jobs over it. I had a job at a waste processing plant where the people in the waste processing industry are pretty rough. Okay, let's not skirt around this. The women there are really fucking tough bitches. And when they complain to management about your videos, it's pretty nasty, you know?
Did someone, like, I think I saw that video. It was a woman that you worked with brought it to the attention of like a manager or something like that. Was that?
Yeah, that's what happened there. And I had one manager who actually had a look at my stuff and he said, "Hey, it's cool, it's great." Then he went on vacation. Then they came after me and said, "Right, your services are no longer needed." So it was time to go.
So Archie, how about this? So we have the Holy Trinity of watches: Patek Philippe,
yes.
Vacheron Constantin,
yes.
Audemars Piguet. If
yes.
you could rank them in order, for you personally, what would you say? 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm. Look, I would have to say Patek, of course, is at the top, right? I think number 2, even though I don't necessarily like this brand, I'd say AP would have to be number 2. And even though AP is really only Royal Oak, anything that's not Royal Oak is fucking unsellable, okay? And number 3, you'd say Vacheron. But the thing is, let me just say this. There are some other brands which you'd have to include there. Like you'd have to say, well, even though they're not Swiss.
What do you think? You like Lange?
Lange, yeah, exactly. Lange would have to be up there with Patek.
I'm a huge fan of them.
And you'd also have to say Breguet. Breguet invented the fucking tourbillon. Now, Breguet was French before they moved to Switzerland, so they're not true Swiss, see? I really think, I got to be honest with you there, I think Patek by a long, long way there. I think Patek is probably, if you said to me, what would you like? Okay, I'm not talking, obviously you'd pick the most expensive, but what watch would just be happy for you? I'd have to say a 5170 is my ultimate. It's just a manual wind chronograph. It's just gorgeous. That would be my exit watch. If there was ever such a thing, I think that would be it. Now, there's more expensive things by all those brands, but I think that's just such a cool piece, you know, just such a cool thing to have. So I reckon those 5 brands, Patek, AP, VC, Lange, and Breguet would be kind of those 5. I reckon those 5 is what I love most there.
So you mentioned AP, and I kind of agree with you. I don't the Royal Oak, I don't think I could ever sport it. Even if I could afford it, I don't think that's a watch that I would, really gravitate towards it based on my style. Can you talk more about AP and why you think that as a brand going up against those others in that class, maybe they don't stand up when it comes to just the versatility in their offering?
You're talking about AP, you mean?
Yes, AP.
Look, I think the problem with AP is that they've got some fundamental flaws there. Like you look at the offshore chronographs, they actually used ultra-thin movements in a lot of those pieces. So even though they look chunky and masculine and strong and tough, they're actually very, very, very delicate. I think with a lot of the APs too, you look at their chronographs, they used a module chronograph. So they had the movement and they put a module on it, which I'm not a huge fan of doing that. It's okay, but I think AP itself, if it wasn't for the Royal Oak, they would really be a non-brand. I think Patek itself, you would have to say they're the leader because they got so many cool things. The Calatrava range is amazing. They've got so many, like AP itself there, they never really had a world time. Their world time, I don't know if you've seen their their attempt at a world time was actually pretty fucking shitty. Patek had the world time, they had chronograph, the perpetual calendar. There's just so many Pateks. I just love the history and the story behind them. I think brands like Vacheron's really been, they never really, they've been very clever in recent years. I love their history series. I think that's a great idea. They got some great looking pieces.
Corne de Vache is one of my favorite looking watches, honestly.
Sorry, what's that?
The Corne de Vache is one of my favorite looking watches, honestly.
Yeah. I gotta say, I think realistically, you know, for me, I think Patek is just the leader because they got so many cool things. They had that sports genre. They had the Nautilus, the Aquanaut, as well as the Calatrava, the annual calendar. See, this is the whole thing. They're so innovative. The annual calendar came out in the 90s. They had the 50-35. That's when they brought that out. So they're still bringing out innovative things. That it's pretty amazing. I
didn't want to take you off the train there, but a question for me. I laugh my ass off every single time I see your intro and how you edit your videos. Do you edit your videos, or do you have somebody else edit your videos?
No, it's all in-house. All in-house. Yeah, I edit the videos.
So in-house, like you do all the editing. So you did that with the yachts, you know, coming out from the side and like all, you know.
Actually, a fan made that video. A fan made that intro. That was fucking very, very clever how that was done. Yes, that was a fucking amazing video he did. Yeah, lovely guy. Lovely guy. Yeah, no, that was very well done. That was exceptionally well done.
So can you talk a little bit about like your relationship with your fans? Because honestly, you have like a cult-like following. Like people, like they love or hate you, but the people that love you,
yes,
they're everywhere, and they always will preach your name. So like they're on my video, and I say, who do I want to interview? ARCHIELUXURY,
yes,
Archibald Chesterfield III. Like they are all over my videos. So can you just talk about your relationship with your fans a little bit?
Look, it's interesting. The fans themselves there. I just came back from Hong Kong. They're real stingy fuckers. Not one of them gave me $1. Did I tell you that?
No.
Look, I got some amazing fans. I got to tell you, in all honesty, I mean, what is wealth? What is anything? It's not just about money. It's about, you know, it's kind of in the YouTube space there. I would say, I may not have the highest number of subscribers. I may not have the highest number of views, but I think I have the biggest recognition there. And look, I've tried to not sell out. I've tried not to sell out. Like, if I was cozy next to a brand, I think it'd be very easy to sell out. And I've had offers. I've actually had offers, believe it or not. And I've always distanced myself from that. I've resisted the urge to do that because I want to be independent. I really want to say what I think. If it's shit, I want to say it's garbage. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I should have sold out. You know, it's one of these things there. But I think if I sucked up to the brands, you know, I may get more money and more access, but is it what you really want to do? You got to decide that yourself, you know.
So Archie, So when you first started making videos, I noticed that you had a very different style than you have today. So
yes,
you're more calm. You're more calm. You weren't cussing as much. Like, what happened to change the style? You know, you're more angry, I feel like, in your videos, more expressive. Where did that all come from? Is there like a reason why you did that?
I just think I think when I first started, I was just playing with the technology. I never expected ARCHIELUXURY to be famous or anything like that. I think I'm more truthful now. See, I am just a nasty, crass person. You see? I am not. See, I don't know if you get this, the whole joke with ARCHIELUXURY is, see, This is the joke. Not many people have got this joke, but with these luxury brands like Patek and AP and VC, if you want to be successful, you buy their product. It's called success. It's psychology. It's success by association. If you want to be successful, you drive a Mercedes, you have a Rolex, you know what I'm saying, don't you? What I've sort of said is, you can own all these luxury goods and be as crass and as nasty as a bin man. You understand? That's the truth. That's the joke, that I'm sort of anti-luxury in so many ways, because I can know about these things, but it doesn't mean you're classy, or, you know, that's what I've tried to do.
So that was your motivation, just deconstruct that idea that you're any better of a person if you own these brands.
Exactly. That's the whole point. And I've also tried to do it by saying that I never buy retail. I always bought them at the arse end when someone's lost money. That's always been... See, my game has been that I've really bought everything. I buy something, and I buy something that I think is good value, because then I can sell it for more. Does that make sense? That's the whole idea. I mean, it's no fun in paying full retail for something and losing a lot of money. That's stupid. You want to beat the market. So I look at a lot of my luxury goods. I've had them for free. You think of it this way. I bought my annual calendar when I turned 40, right? I bought it. I wore it for 12 months. Every day I wore it for 12 months. Every day I wore it at least once. Because I did wear other watches, but every day I did wear it. And then I sold it and made a profit. That's like, not only did I have the watch for free, but, you know, it's kind of, it's one of the coolest watches. It was an annual calendar. It's just such a cool thing to have for free. I mean, that's cool, isn't it? If someone would give you a Porsche 911 to use for a year for free, that'd be so cool too, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, I'd love driving that down the highway.
You know? Exactly. So that's kind of always been the inner joke. So I've never been friendly to the dealer network as well. I've always said buy used, don't buy new, haggle, negotiate. I've always pushed that.
Huh, interesting. I think a lot of people maybe don't see that. I actually think that's some goodwill intention behind what you're saying, because I totally agree with you. I don't think owning a Rolex does anything for you as an individual. It's just, if you can find enjoyment in it and find enjoyment in just the, you know.
Oh, that's exactly right. You can still be a crass, nasty fucker.
Oh, of course.
Whether you got a Patek or you don't.
Of course. Hey, I think that's actually a pretty solid message. So, interesting. All right.
Exactly.
Well, so before we kind of jump off, just a couple questions. One being, what's next for Archie Luxury? I know you did your movie, so can you maybe talk a little bit about that, and then kind of what's next for Archie Luxury?
Look, the movie was a great thing. I don't know if you saw the movie.
I haven't watched the entire thing.
Okay. Well, basically, it told the story. Look, it's not perfect. It wasn't high budget. It's basically 10 years of my video collection I've put together and tried to put some sort of story together there. And, you know, the movie doesn't have a Hollywood ending. YouTube wrecked my life. I'm unemployable and it's fucked everything up. That's the moral from the thing. Be very careful what you put out there in social media. Look, the movie was fantastic. I really loved it. I've also got a racehorse named after me. That's been a huge thing. Archie Luxury, the racehorse. And I did a rock video. Did you see the rock video?
I did watch the rock. We actually just watched the rock video, yep.
Yeah. Look, what's next for Archie? I met a billionaire. I don't know. I was flown to Indonesia to meet a billionaire. That was amazing. Look, what's next for Archie Luxury? I want to... Look, for me... The reason I'm in Australia is because I want to see my kids grow up. I want to do a lot more travel. I've decided I'm not really a dealer in watches. Okay, I do occasionally sell watches. Yes, that's true, I do. But I don't do it just to flip. Like, I don't think I'm a very good dealer, because a good dealer, if he could make money on something, he should sell it. Whereas I say, no, I don't want to sell that watch. I love that watch. So I got 10 at the moment. Okay. So I got my Patek, my 5110 World Time. I got my Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso Grand Date. I have got my Explorer 2 Polar. I got my Omega Speedmaster Man on the Moon. I got my IWC Ingenua with in-house movement. I got the Breguet Type 20. I have got the Tudor Black Bay. I got the Breitling Super Ocean Heritage 2. I got the Tag Heuer Monaco Caliber 11. And I just got a PAM, the submersible, PAM 24. Yeah, PAM 24. So, for me, I want to add more watches. One brand per watch. So, I would love to add a Grand Seiko, some sort of Grand Seiko. I would like to add maybe a Zenith chronograph with the multicolored eyes. I would like to add a Lange 1. I want to get another really nasty watch, a Lange 1. I want to keep adding. I like adding. I like to keep, watches make me happy. Okay? So what's the future there? Look, I like working for myself. I may not earn a lot of money, but I do what I want. I travel a lot. I got to tell you, the fans are pretty cool. The fans really means more to me than money. The fans are very cool. I love the fans. I really do love the fans. And I'm going to see if I can keep making content. I like making content. That's what I love jumping on a plane in economy, staying at a really cheap hotel, and that's kind of cool. I like that sort of shit. Yeah, I like that. I like to do more of that. Yeah.
Where's the all right, favorite place you've ever been? Because you're into travel as well. You have a channel about travel, don't you?
Yeah, well, also on the Archie Luxury channel, I travel as well. Favorite place I've ever been, probably Japan.
Where in Japan?
Japan. Look, Japan is just amazing. The whole place is amazing there. I really love Japan. There's so many. Japan is just amazing. That's probably my favorite country is Japan. It's clean. The people are polite. The women are so fucking sexy. Sexy women, very sexy. And Japan. I love Japan. There's so many. I love a lot of these. I love difference. You don't want to go to a country that's the same as another country. They're all different, you know. Australia is beautiful. We've got beautiful. The wilderness and the fresh air. But you don't have political freedoms. If you say something wrong, the secret police will arrest you in Australia. Because I do activism as well. You know that, don't you?
No, I actually don't. I don't know much about Australia.
Yeah, I'm a political activist. Yeah. I'm facing charges at the moment. This is serious. This is not a joke. I could be facing 12 months in prison.
Are you not able to talk about this? Like, what's happening?
Well, it's regarding my rail leaks. I had some. Just type in Paul Pluta and Star Chamber. It comes up on the internet. I don't need to say anything to you. It's before the courts. I could go to jail for 12 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how life is. That's how life is.
Archie, what are your words of wisdom? How can you impart some words of wisdom with everything you've learned in your life? What would you say to people? How to live?
I would seriously say, in all honesty, I would say, get one watch that you really like. Instead of churning and burning, just get one and
just get the watch.
Get the watch.
Get the watch.
Get a Rolex and just stick with it. I think it's better to have one really cool watch than 10 mediocre watches. You you know. I would say one watch is just, have a Rolex for life is just so cool. I wish I still had mine, but that's just the way it goes there. I would say seriously, don't take things so seriously there. I mean, these watch companies and that, they're all full of bullshit. I mean, buying a product doesn't make you better than somebody else. That's the honest truth, right? I think I really like quality. I always like quality. That's that's the thing about luxury goods. Like, they are so expensive, right? Are they worth it at the end of the day? And I think some luxury goods are actually worth it. Some aren't. A lot aren't. But some are. And I think you've got to pick things for yourself. Not to impress other people. Just things that you like for yourself. And that's why I like the World Time. Because it's kind of very discreet. No one knows what it is. To average person, it's a $500 watch. It doesn't look like a $50,000 watch. And I think that's kind of cool. You know, you at the end of the day, I think the most important thing for yourself is to try and be a good person. That doesn't mean you toe the government line or things like that, but I think you don't want to be wasteful with resources in this world. You want to try, and we will run out of resources eventually. I think you want to, if you saw a child that needed help, you'd want to try and help a child. I think you'd want to try and do the right thing for the environment. I think honestly, I think you should always question things and always look at the real. Why are they saying this? Why are they doing that? Just don't believe everything that everyone says. You've really got to question things. But I think the most important thing is don't fucking pay retail. Generally speaking, retail is not your friend. Retail is not your friend. You really want to buy used. I think that's the best advice in watches. Besides Rolex, I mean, if you buy an Explorer 1, sure, you can pay retail for it. It's okay. But generally speaking, you should try and buy things used. I think that's the most important thing. Try and buy things which you can resell for more. Then if you have to get out of them, you don't lose a lot.
Awesome. Well, Archie, I'm actually pleasantly surprised that we actually agreed on more things than I thought we would. So thanks so much for being on the channel. I really appreciate it. You were one of the most recommended people in the comments down below. And I think at its core, what I think we can find as a commonality between us is the fact that we both love watches. And I think the fact that we can have a conversation about it, that's cool to me. So thank you so much, brother, and coming on the channel.
Hey, no problems at all there. I'll just stop the recording here. And look, I do love your channel there. So, hey, that is fantastic. And I wish you a lot of luck there.